Hi there, this is Cris from Paissa and Bernat, and today I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the timings, how these are structured, and the different options that you have in terms of customization and how basically the whole day transitions with us. So let's start from the beginning, which would be the welcome drinks. For this time, guest arrival basically, for this we allocate 30 minutes, which is sufficient time for guests to arrive at the venue, come through to this side of the ceremony, and we just give them a refreshment. The idea is to hydrate them at this point before the actual ceremony takes place. So you'll see from our packages that here we don't recommend that you include alcoholic drinks. I know that it sounds a little bit but I want you to also consider that guests are on holiday. They've probably had a few drinks, 3, even maybe sometimes 4. So it's nice to cool them down at this point, give them something to hydrate them, and then sit them down for the ceremony. So welcome drinks is 30 minutes. Ceremony, these tend to last anywhere between 15 minutes and 25 minutes. Therefore, we allocate 30 minutes for that because you're going to have your intro and your exit song, and there's the confetti and other factors to kind of extend that time. So 30 minutes is a good amount of time for your ceremony to take place. After that, you have a cocktail reception. We, in our package, allocate an hour and a half, which gives you enough time to have a drink, have a canapé, 2 or 3 as well. Also go around all your guests. You know, they're going to want to have a chat with you and congratulate you for your wedding. And also there's some time factored in there for pictures, so group pictures and couple portraits, because that's something that your photographer is going to kind of manage and take you off aside to do. For larger events, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this later, but for larger events this can be extended to 2 hours, or for those that want to go off to not Formentera, to Esvedra for pictures, then also I would recommend that you extend this to 2 hours, but we'll talk about this a little bit later. After that, you've got so the standard is 1 hour and a half, and that's for every package, and then you've got 2 hours for your dinner service. So 2 hours is a long time for dinner. The idea is that it's chilled, it's relaxed. You know, there's a lot of chatting that should happen at the tables, lots of drinking, lots of eating, and just really, really relaxed. So you're going to have your sharing starters, and then your plated mains, and then there's a lot of time to move around, to have a drink, to kind of get all the chatting happening before the dance floor happens. After that, you've got speeches. You've got 30 minutes allocated for speeches. Don't worry if your speeches are shorter than that, because at this time of the day we like to factor in the sunset time. So I always recommend that when you've picked your date, that you have a look at what time the sun sets in Ibiza on that day, and we just factor that in, so that kind of that transition from day to evening happens during those speeches, that speeches time. So it's nice to factor that in, or just slightly after. You know, it doesn't really matter if it's exact or not, but you do want to factor that in as an event within the event. So you got your speeches at that time, and then you got the open bar. So open bars will go from anywhere between 3 hours and 5 hours. Now, how can you extend your day and make it longer? That would be going the 3 hours. Obviously that's an easy configuration. So 30 minutes welcome drink, 30 minutes ceremony, an hour and a half cocktail reception, 2 hour dinner, 30 minute speeches, and 3 hour open bar. As soon as you go up to 4 hours of open bar, then you can start moving things around a little bit. So we've said that the welcome drinks we're not going to touch, the ceremony we're not going to touch, the dinner's always the same, and speeches as well. But what we can do is that we can take those 4 hours of open bar and we can split the hour and bring 30 minutes forward to your cocktail reception, which means that instead of having an hour and a half cocktail reception, you extend that to 2 hours. If you went for a 5 hour bar, I wouldn't recommend extending the cocktail reception for more than 2 hours, only because people are going to get hungry and it really won't work that well. But 2 hours is a superb timing in terms of cocktail reception. I think an hour and a half is also very good. Other venues will give you only an hour, which is, in my opinion, very tight. But with 2 hours, you can have extra entertainment if that's what you want. It depends how long your list of photography is as well. So if you've got a big group and you've got lots of choice, if you want different types of pictures, then we'll then factor that in there and say, right, let's extend it. Because you also want some time, self-time, I would say. So that's something to factor in. For events of plus 60 people, this configuration is highly, highly recommended, because you've got more people to go around to, they want to congratulate you, they want to be with you, they don't want to just congratulate you and that's it. They want to congratulate you and have a little bit of a chat with you. So it's nice to have that extra time if you can, extend the hours of open bar to 4. And then if you did 4 hours of open bar, you'd have that 2-hour cocktail reception, and instead of having 4 hours of open bar, obviously now you've only got 3.5, which only is quite a lot. And if you did a 5-hour bar, then you've got 2-hour cocktail reception, and then you're also talking about a 4.5-hour open bar. What you choose to do is entirely up to you. So obviously it does have an immediate effect on your quote, on your budget, so it's something that should be factored in. I also recommend that you make this decision at the beginning of wedding planning, only because obviously there's budget consideration, but also once you've set the timings, then there's some suppliers, if not all, that are going to want your timings for their setup, or to know that what their working hours. So setup would be like florist, or you also need to tell hair and makeup artists what your timelines are for the day. Your photographers, they're booked by the hours. So the sooner you decide this, the more efficient wedding planning will become in the long term. So if you made a change further ahead in wedding planning, it means that you need to allocate hours of admin and changing your timings that you've booked your suppliers for. So it's just something to factor in from the beginning. And then in terms of other timings configurations, I can also tell you that for May, June, July, and even August weddings, weather is something that should be factored in. So a 2 p.m. start is very, very early, very hot, not recommended in all honesty. And then also in September and October, I think a 2 p.m. start is quite a nice time, especially for October, because the sun is lower throughout the whole day. You don't have that high sun that really makes you melt under the sun. So you could, in an October wedding, I would even suggest that you start earlier. The days are shorter, so you do want that daylight, and it's just not as bright and as hot as the peak season months. So there are some of these things to factor in. And then finish time is always midnight, so you kind of work your timings back to front. We're going to know, once you know how many hours of open bar you want, then we work it backwards, basically. That's why maybe 5 hours in June can be a little bit hot. So I hope this has been a good start to getting you thinking of your timelines. 100% recommended that you make this decision at the start of your wedding planning. So if you can, factor that in as soon as possible. And thank you for watching. Let me know if you've got any questions, and you can email me if you want to make any changes to your existing configuration. Thank you. Bye.